Hello, good people. I am in Toronto at the beginning of Yonge Street at the nice waterfront, and I will walk along Yonge Street and see where I end up, see what observations there are to be made on the way. Yeah. This here under construction will be one of Toronto's tallest buildings, more than 300 meters. And here I'm walking under the dingy Gardner Expressway, which, yes, is not very pleasant. And I feel cuts off most of the downtown from the waterfront, uh, as is the case with this tunnel, which is under the train tracks. Having made it through the tunnels, I am now in the financial district, Wellington, as it appears. And yeah, downtown core, the classic CBD. You know it, you love it. Here I am. Here is a sports fan in front of me, a lot of them wandering around in Toronto, and an old theatre building and what remains of that, and Eaton Centre, Toronto's most famous shopping centre, on the left, and Yonge Dundas Square, soon to be renamed most probably Sankofa Square. This part of Yonge is always lively and bustling, and I think should be fully pedestrianized. Here on the right, we have a university building belonging to Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly known as Ryerson. A McDonald's for people's culinary needs, and other establishments. A lot of new apartment buildings in general along this section of Yonge Street. As can be seen, plenty of high rises. This building up ahead under construction is of particular note as it will also be one of Canada's tallest buildings at over 300 meters. You can see as it is rising over here into the sky, into the distance. L'Oreal. Meanwhile, this Masonic temple can satisfy people's spiritual needs. We are reaching a quieter part of Yonge, away from downtown and entering midtown. Here is an old train station that currently serves as a large alcohol shop. Here is more midtown vibes, a slightly more posh area. People enjoy their lives here, or so I assume, but who knows for certain. York School and a cemetery on the right, a large one, Mount Pleasant Cemetery. It has graves and other uh, amenities. This Beltline Park used to be a railway and now is a long, narrow park. We are reaching Young Eglinton, another key intersection, and slowly reaching away from Midtown towards Uptown. Here is the beloved intersection. On Eglinton, they are building a tram, or a streetcar, as the locals say, but it is yet to be completed. It is getting quieter. The buildings are becoming smaller, and now even the shops are disappearing, making way for these older apartment buildings. Now we are at Lawrence, a more snoozy neighborhood, one can say. Wonder what that guy has in his bag. This here is a confusing intersection. Young and Young, but more specifically Yonge Street with Yonge Boulevard. Rich people and golf courses in this area. And this here is a very boring part of Yonge, very this park vibe. Look at this nastiness here, like being next to a highway. It's quite an ugly sight indeed. What is this nastiness? Such nastiness. Alright, here it is starting to get better again. We're reaching North York Center, which is a sort of downtown area that basically only goes along Yonge. As soon as you take any of the side streets, it's mostly just suburbia. In other words, the visuals here are misleading. There are a lot of Korean restaurants and businesses in this neighborhood. It is sometimes considered the second Koreatown. You can see where we are based on that sign. No bus whooshes by these North York Yonge buildings. Here is a church, presumably non-Masonic. It's nice walking around, exploring new buildings scattered throughout Yonge under development. Here you see Persian businesses, Iranian businesses. And here is a mall on the left with a beautiful parking lot. Beautiful. Now we are reaching Steeles, which is the end of the city of Toronto, and we are entering the neighborhood of Thornhill, which is fractured halfly in the city of Vaughan and halfly in the city of Markham. On the left is the Vaughan side, and across the road on the right is the Markham side. One community split in two. A sad story. There is also here an older part of Thornhill, though old is relative. In Europe, this would not be that special. And speaking of Europe, a Danish bakery or something. Blossoming trees, peak blossoming season at the time of filming, and more highways again creeping up on us. Now we have reached the city of Richmond Hill, and here is a Hindu temple on the left where people can practice their faith. Statue, Hinduism. Here is proof of us being in Richmond Hill now. No more straddling between Markham and Vaughan. Now it is properly Richmond Hill. And the quality of the sidewalks and infrastructure in general along Yonge is impressive, especially considering the suburban nature of Richmond Hill. It is nice that the sidewalks are more than just random concrete slabs, and that there is at least some effort of having bike lanes, even if it is quite sad and still feels dangerous for a bicyclist. Richmond Hill is a pretty vague place in my view. It kind of just exists sandwiched between Markham and Vaughan, with Yonge acting as this backbone. More sidewalks, more cars, more parking. It's quite a funny looking art gallery here, On the right, this little house. Here they also have separate bus lanes in the middle of the street. The bus stations like this in blue. And here is the older part of Richmond Hill, or at least one of them, with some businesses and village or small town feel, atmosphere. Center for Performing Arts in Richmond Hill. Some church towers and stuff. And that has all ended, evaporated by now. We are again in pure suburbia. Malls and random warehouse-looking buildings. But the infrastructure surprisingly remains fairly decent. This is some posh-looking building with the pillars, not the H car dealership building. Grass, sidewalk, bike lane, and cars go vroom. Again, some increase in density, little pockets of higher density, and then decrease in density, more decrease. Here is a golf area, park course, golf. Now it really looks like we have left the town with these abandoned buildings, but we are still in Richmond Hill, and now there is some farmland and other things. Still some shops and parking lots at the edge, at the frontier here. We have finally reached the end of this venture as the sidewalk simply ends. If I wanted, I could continue further beyond this northern part of Richmond Hill, but by this point I am quite tired and a nice dinner would be good, and also figuring out how to get back. It was quite a nice walk, got to see different environments, but okay. Good night, everyone.